Well. Look, we clicked expecting to see a fight scene between Thragg and Conquest. I'll do you a solid and give you a glimpse of what it is to expect in the finale. Okay, you're actually still here even after the animation lost its colors. Could it be you are part of the people who subscribe for the sole purpose of learning animation from me? Well, I'm excited to say this video is exactly for you, and I apologize for taking this long to actually make a tutorial video on this channel. I know I've been focusing more on the fan animations lately and I haven't had time for the tutorials because of YouTube and their drama. And if you are still here watching this video, not because you're an animator, but because you are genuinely interested in the process that goes behind making these fan animations, I must say I really appreciate you and you really hold a special place in my heart. Because things can get boring really fast, especially to people who are not animators. With that said, you've read the title of this video and you know exactly what you are here for. I would not be covering the basics in this video, but I'll be giving you tips on how to make your animations look much more presentable and impactful. Take a look at this boring animation. This is the cut we are going to be studying. Observe that even though this animation is in its rough form, it's easy to read and follow. How then can we improve it? Obviously, you add your outlines, your colors, your shadows, and your backgrounds. For most of you watching, this would be enough. And actually, I don't blame you because it already looks nice. But did you notice what else I added without mentioning it? For those of you paying attention to the video, you've noticed it right from the beginning of the tutorial. Exactly, it's those dust-like pattern and wind effect that you saw me drawing earlier. Without them, this is what your animation would look like. And while the animation is decent, it's clearly less impactful. To achieve this effect, create a separate layer for your dust effect. And depending on your preferences, you can reduce its opacity. Then you select your bucket tool and enable the fill by lasso selection. You could also just decide to select your normal drawing pen and then fill it with colors after, but I prefer the fill by lasso selection because it's faster. After you're done with this, you need to understand the direction in which the object is moving. And what you want to do after that is to animate your dust effect moving in the opposite direction. Now it could take some time to get used to drawing the dust effect in the desired format. It clearly took me a lot of time to actually be good at drawing those dust effects, but just get the overall gist. You don't need to be too perfect about it. Remember, it's just a random artifact and you can just animate it in a straight pass without adding any in-betweens. What you just need to know is that when you are going frame by frame, you want to occasionally add your dust effect, forming a barrier around the surface that is trying to resist the dust. Now, this part I'm about to tell you is just a matter of preference. Once you're done animating your dust effects and you're satisfied with the way it looks, its animation, for me personally, I like to make my dust effect look softer on the edges. I don't want it to look too rigid, but then again, it depends on the scene I'm animating. Sometimes I like it to be rigid, but generally I don't. And in order to achieve that softer edge, what I do is open my bucket tool and I set it on these parameters that you see on screen. Then I fill it behind the dust effect on the same layer. Now, if you're not sure what you are doing at this point, you can duplicate the layer and experiment on a different layer. The next thing you want to do to improve your animation visually is to take advantage of blending modes. In order to pull this off effectively, create a different layer, label it your blend, and you want to look at defining or the dominant light in your environment. And for this, you want to select a complementary color, a color that seems so similar that can improve the look of your animation. Look at the background I'm using for this scene. There's clearly a light source from the sun, and it seems like as if it's in a sunset-like appearance. So for this, I'll be selecting a yellow color and I'll be using my bucket fill tool with the feather effect pulled to the maximum to draw a circle, which I then expand around the screen. Now, because in this scene, the characters of interest are moving away from the sun, I want that blended light to also slowly fade away from them. And in order to achieve this easily, you can actually move it manually across your frames, but you could also just enable cycles and set your parameters in such a way that it fades towards the end of your cycle. Now, once you're satisfied with the positions of the color you intend to blend your characters with, you can then go to the next option and apply blending modes. For this cut, I used the overlay blending mode and I was satisfied with the outcome. Now, some of you might decide that maybe yellow is not a good option because the sky is more orange. You could also experiment with that. There is really no rigid rule to this from my experience, and it's actually what works best for you. But the general guiding principle is that you choose a color that actually complements your environment. Also, don't forget to clip your blending mode to your color layer. Another thing I do to improve the look of my animation, which, let's be honest, is a matter of preference, is make my shadows look softer. And the principle is basically the same behind making your dust effect look softer. You look for the bucket tool, you increase the parameters for your blur fill, and you sample the layer you want the blur fill to be applicable to. Now, when you want to make the edges of your shadow softer, you might decide to use the same color you used for your shadows for the softer edges of the shadows. That's a good approach, but I personally prefer to use a different color, a color that can actually complement the colors of the characters and not the color of the shadow. Like, for instance, Conquest has an orange looking skin or white outfit, so I want to choose a color that can blend well with the colors of Conquest, like the flat colors. And for this scene, I chose something that is like on the darker end of red, even though the shadow color is on the dark range of purple. Now, for this process, you have to go frame by frame and fill your shadow layers one by one. So if you are not sure whether you like it sharp or you like your edges rough, just duplicate your shadow layer and experiment on the layer of interest. There are animation programs and apps that can make this faster and automate it, but sadly, Rough Animator doesn't have that option. So once you're done softening the edges of your shadows, be sure to mask the layer to your color layer. Usually when you want to do all these things, you have to plan out your animation project. Usually I make my color layer below my outline layer, and I make my shadow layer in between my outline layer and my color layer. Usually my shadow layer is just right above my color layer. This makes it easy to mask my blends and my shadow layer to my color layer. Now, depending on the scene, you also want to add a blend that slightly darkens your flat colors. Wait, you thought we were done with blending? No, blending is like so essential to making your animations look gorgeous. So yes, we are not done with blending. What I'm about to explain to you is very dependent on the light source. If you are someone who loves to take a lot of selfie, you would have observed that when the light source is directly behind you, it tends to darken your image. But when the light source is right in front of you, your face appears brighter. Now in this scene, you can see that Conquest has his back turned against the sun. What I want to do is that I want to darken Conquest exactly at the moment where the sun is directly at his back. But when the sun passes by Conquest, it gets lighter again. You still want the softer edges of this dark blend to show, but you want it to become less intense the farther Conquest gets away from the sun. And once you're satisfied with the positioning of your blend, you already know what to do next. Flip it to your color layer and you're done. Wow, now our animation looks great. This is where we finally relax. Nope. Pop Drop your animation into your video editing app, add your radial blurs, add your motion blurs, add your camera shakes, add your keyframes, and add your lens flares. And then you are done. Now, as much as I would love to explain the steps that goes into video editing, this video is already longer than I anticipated. I actually thought it was going to be 5 minutes, but here we are at the 11-minute mark. So if you are an animator and you've made it this far, thank you very much. If you are not an animator and you made it this far, bro, what are you doing? Words cannot express how grateful I am. Thank you very much. And if everything goes according to plan, I'll be dropping the finale to Thragg vs Conquest by the end of this month. Once again, thanks for watching and God bless you.
Having fun? I want more! Show me your rage!